This is a really quick review of the Lixada USB bike computer. Got this on eBay, and I think when I was searching, it was the only USB chargeable wireless bike computer that I could find. And it was also one of the cheapest. It was around 17 or 18 bucks. I'll show you how it works. You can turn it on manually, or it'll start up when you start moving a little bit. Sometimes when I'm rolling the bike it doesn't come on, but if I click one of the buttons then it will come on. So setting it up is really easy. I can actually go into the setup mode just by holding this button down. So it'll do that, and then it'll just go through the options you can set. So right now I could switch from miles an hour to kilometers per hour. If I wanted to, I'm going to leave it as is and just cycle through all the configurable things. So the wheel size is something that I've spent a lot of time experimenting with. I'm using 700 by 25C tires, and the manual I think wants me to put in like 2005 or 2105 actually as the circumference of that tire. So I started with that, and then when I was riding and I was comparing to what Strava was recording, the distance recorded by the cycle computer was quite a bit lower, and the speed was lower. So then I went online and started to research about how you calibrate a cycle computer, and one of the things you can do is do like a rollout test where you mark the tire, roll it, and then see how far it rolls in one revolution, and they compute the circumference that way. So I tried that, and when I did that I got around 21-25, and when I put some weight on it and rolled it with weight on it, it was down to about 21-10. But then when I rode again with Strava recording in the background, it was still coming out low. And I found after trial and error that going around 21-44, and I would kind of go up in increments of 10 and do little experiments against Strava. 21-44 was very close to what Strava would record on about like a 10-mile ride. It would be basically identical to 2 decimal places of miles. And then so later I found on the tire box, which is these are Continental Grand Prix 5000s, they list the circumference as 21-45. So that was very close to what I found after experimenting, even though it seems quite a bit different than what I measured in a rollout test, but I'm going to assume that they can measure better than I can. And I think also from doing some online research, Strava may be questionable in terms of how they compute mileage, compute distance. And so I'm using the GPS in the Pixel 3a on my rides with Strava, so that could be factoring into how it computes distance. And basically I just wanted the cycle computer to match up to Strava, because I use Strava to track my daily progress and my weekly progress and all that stuff. So you'll have to play around with the tire measurements and the how the cycle computer how it stores the tire circumference in order to get it to match whatever whatever you want it to match, or you can set it to a measured circumference of the tire if you're happy with that. So again, you can set the tire size that way. That's the odometer. So something strange on this, what I was disappointed with at first was that after I first plugged it in and set, I'll go back to the initial setup here. So when I first went into the setup, and it shows all the different options there, and I had set this to miles an hour from kilometers per hour, I noticed that even though it was displaying miles an hour speed, it was not it wasn't displaying the miles, it was displaying kilometers like it's showing here, km. And I thought, well, where is the setting to be able to change that to miles instead of kilometers? And there isn't one. So I was kind of ready to buy another one that could actually measure in miles, not just display the speed in miles per hour. But after I took my first ride and I got back and I compared it to Strava, I said, wow, these are really close. And then I saw that it was actually, even though it displays km, and right there is kmh, it's actually miles per hour and miles. And I think that depends on, well, I know it depends on the setting there, whether you selected miles an hour or kilometers per hour, as to what it's actually going to compute and show here, even though it doesn't update the labels to show that you're actually talking about miles per hour or miles. So I was really happy to discover that it actually does measure and display miles and miles per hour, not just the speedometer, but actual miles too. So the other button here on the right hand side the left hand side, it'll switch over to a different display. So this is the odometer, the total time ridden, temperature, and that's the max speed for your previous ride. So you can toggle back to that. I leave it on this screen when I'm riding because it has the time of the ride, distance, and the average speed. And to reset this, all you do is you hold down the button on the right and it'll flash to let you know it's going to reset, and it resets. So that also resets the maximum speed, as you see there. So it's really easy to reset. And so it's wireless, comes with that regular little holder there, and that's kind of a standard way that it mounts to the fork with a little magnet on the spoke. And I've been riding with it for, I don't know, about a week now, and the battery is still fully charged. And it comes off by twisting. That's how it looks on the back, that's how the mount looks. And the USB charging port is right here. As I look at the buttons. So all in all, I'm really happy with it. I was bummed out that I thought it didn't display miles and miles per hour, but it actually does, so no complaints. I would recommend it for under $20. Have fun.